courthouse in Orange County. Y'all in Orange County, y'all know what this is. Dropping these papers off for this divorce. My final hearing is on the 19th of this month. Today is the 1st of April, my brother's birthday. My little big brother. It's been a journey. Going through a divorce, it's always going to be a journey. Whether you still holding on or you decided to let go, it's still going to hurt. Even if the relationship ended bad or ended decent, it's still going to hurt. It's healing pains. Because if you broke something, realize it's going to hurt while it's healing. It's the same thing with your life. If anybody hurts you, oh, this line long, oh God, I chose to come here on a Friday, but it's healing pain, y'all. We in this together. What's up, y'all? This is a bit nerve-wracking. This is my final hearing for my divorce. Man, today's the day. I didn't record too much. I showed y'all this is going to be my process a bit. I'm looking for 360D. I'm about to be free. Man, be careful who y'all marry. Pay attention to the timing when you get married. And listen to God, wait on God, because marriage is a whole nother ball game, man. The paperwork, the process, the stress. Just know who you marrying before you marry them. This how we celebrate a divorce, y'all. When you free, well, she ain't free. When you're married, you're single. I'm legally single now. What up, G.E.T.O fam?
What up, y'all?
We're back again, and we're not done with church folk, hurt folk, but we are in another session. And it was dawned upon me that I was the topic of discussion for today. It wasn't my choice, but it was my choice.
It wasn't my choice.
God made me do it.
Don't be looking at me like, hey, your sister made you do it. Nope.
I felt it in my shondo. So today's topic is
married and alone.
Voila. And I know a lot of y'all that have been married or that are still married. And you like, God, ain't this a two-person thing? Like, why do I feel like I'm in this by myself? Why do I feel like I'm married to my enemy? Why do I feel like I'm sinning? Why do I feel like everything going wrong? I done prayed, I done fasted, and it seems like this marriage just ain't working. And everybody, you got some people telling you to leave, you got some people telling you to stay, you got some people telling you to pray. And it's like, at the end of the day, I still don't have an answer. It's not clear for me. Mm-hmm. So what do I do when I feel married and alone?
We about to dig in. So if y'all see me looking at a laptop, that means I have questions already written out. She don't know what the questions are.
No, I don't. Jesus.
So.
And the Lord that turned water into wine.
Jesus, you done did it again. Let me stop. So.
But I'm ready though.
Right.
Because I've been set free. And it's still a healing process. But I want to help somebody else. Another man or another woman. They just feel like marriage was supposed to make things better. And not understanding the full purpose of marriage. Because I got married and I didn't understand the full purpose. I just wanted a legal right to have sex without other Christians judging me, and I wanted to create my own family and get away from mine. So I don't know what your reason is, but maybe you can relate to me a little bit.
Right.
We'll find out.
So you're walking into the first question. What is your assumption of marriage before considering marriage? Like when you was little, like everybody always think that marriage is this or that. The I'm just gonna put the Barbie and Ken type of relationships because that's what you see sometimes growing up. So what was your assumption?
Barbie and Ken?
Okay, the black version.
No, I was just because that's people think like that for
right. Or Cinderella and whoever she dated.
Brandy. You talking about Brandy when Cinderella was Brandy and she never mind. Okay.
Anybody play this game with you? That's Whitney Houston was in it. That was a really good show. It was a really good movie. But anyway, what was your assumption of what marriage was before considering marriage?
don't know. I never really was scared to get married. I always wanted that wholeness. Even watching my parents being married, I never really took deep thought on their marriage. I just saw the effects of it. I just saw it wasn't working. I saw that they was back and forth. I saw adultery. I saw other men cheating on their wives, or hearing about other men cheating on their wives. But in my mind, it actually honestly, it motivated me, like, to do better. Like, okay, I can get married and do better than this. Like, watching my mom and my dad, it didn't make me feel like, oh, I ain't never want to get married. I wanted to prove people like marriage can't work. It didn't make me scared of marriage. It was like, okay, I'm up for the challenge. That's how I felt. Like, I see everything.
Like, oh, nope, I'm good.
I was up for the challenge though. Like, it put an excitement inside of me.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm gonna get married, and because I always desired that companionship. Of course, like they say, a girl is looking for her dad and a man, and a boy is looking for his mom and a man. But what if you got a bad example? Are you still looking for that same type of person?
What?
And it made me want to prove other Christians wrong. Mm. Like, you can be young and get married and love Jesus at the same time. That's how I looked at it.
Right. That's okay. That's deep, my brother.
Yeah, it made me want to get married. Like, I really wanted to show people. But the thing is, I wanted to show people instead of letting God show people through me. Mm. But I didn't realize that it can't happen through me, because I didn't realize I was broken. I just wanted to create a family, not realizing I need to heal from my family trauma before I even try to go and recreate my own family. Mm-hmm. I just thought it'll work because my mind, my intuition, like, I'm a good person, so I know this gonna work.
Toot that horn. I'm a good person, so I know
this
gonna work. Toot that horn,
baby, make that thing roll.
I'm not playing this game with you. Okay, maybe later. Okay, so what were some positive examples that leads into this? What are some positive examples that you had of a good marriage? Like, whether it was on TV or, because you said not too really much your personal life, but is there anybody that you could probably maybe think back now that they may have given you a good example of marriage, or maybe even TV, because TV is TV.
Let's see. I was okay.
Go ahead and breathe again.
It wasn't too many. Honestly, it really wasn't too many. And seeing movies is what motivated me, because I saw the hope, the expectation, the love, and they really show you what it's supposed to look like, but they're just acting, but they're showing you truth. And I did see, I say about 2 examples. I don't really want to say the couples' names, but it was this group that I was going to, and it was 2 couples that stood out to me in particular. And I admired their marriage. I went to this camp. I went to the church, and it was these 2 particular couples that I was like, dang, their marriage is beautiful, and it inspired me. Outside of the examples that I didn't have, those are the only 2 that was like, okay, now this is a reason to be married, because it seemed like it was kingdom driven. I don't know what was happening behind the scenes of them being mentors and leaders, but it looked like it was something I wanted, because I wanted my marriage to be a kingdom marriage. I wanted it to be a Christ marriage. I didn't want to look like everybody else that's flexing on social media, like, oh, we're going and traveling the world and everything looks so glamorous and goldish. But I really wanted my marriage to be a kingdom marriage.
Right. That's a good way to go in, because a lot of people, like, young age, which we're about to go into the next, but they don't ever think about what marriage is. They just thinking about the Instagram, like you said, the Instagram. They think about what it is on all these other social media platforms. Like, you taking all these pictures, but you going through hell behind closed doors.
And a lot of them get married because they want that legal right to have sex, like, without judgment of the other Christians. Some people
in the church,
in the church. I'd rather marry than to burn. So hey, let's throw this scripture out on them and let's fear them into doing the right thing. But it's like, okay, if you gonna talk them into marriage, let it be something good for them. It's better for them to fornicate than to sit there and get into a marriage that
ain't kingdom.
Right.
That God ain't
I'm not condoning nobody to fornicate, but it's like, what's the point of influencing somebody or persuading somebody to get married because, hey, you're fornicating, y'all might as well get married, when this could be the wrong person for you. Mm-hmm. So why would you tell them to get under a covenant before God when they not marrying the right person? So it's better for them to stay where they at versus them getting into a hell marriage. It don't make sense.
But this is what they teach in a lot of churches. Like, get married. Okay, after get married, then what? Ooh. What age did you get married? I know what age you get married, but for the people that don't know, what age did you get married, and at the time, did you think it was a good idea?
Dang it, how old was I when I got married?
5 and 5.
Ooh, you tripping. I got married in 2013. I got married in 2013, so that put me at roughly about 21. Between 21 and 22.
Ooh. So you feel like it was a good idea at that time?
Okay, so see what happened was I went to Job Corps. For those of y'all who don't know what Job Corps is. Okay, Job Corps is a program that is like you get a trade. And I went for CCMA, Certified Clinical Medical Assistant. And I went there to get away from home because things were chaotic, a lot was going on, and I just wanted to recreate myself because I had just got out of a situationship where it had broke my heart, and I felt embarrassed because church people was getting involved. I heard people make comments, and I was like, yeah, I want to get away from these people because I don't like this feeling. And I met my kid's dad, my ex-husband, and we was kind of talking about the same thing, but I ignored the red flags. Because I wanted wholeness so bad. I wanted to get away from my family so bad. I wanted to recreate my own family so bad that I did something I shouldn't have did. I did something that I shouldn't have done. And when I got married, I didn't feel like I should have been getting married. Like, it felt like it was arranged. And I wanted it to be a courthouse wedding, but we ended up doing it at a local church. And everything in me was like, what are you doing? But I was trying to convince myself with scripture that I was doing the right thing. I was like, okay, so you're doing the right thing because now you won't be lusting or fornicating, and now you're building a family, and God honors this, and a whole bunch of other scriptures I had came up with in my head to justify the reason why I should be getting married to somebody God had already showed me that I shouldn't be getting married to. I was trying to go off of what I wanted instead of what God wanted for me.
Right.
And when I got married, I thought it was a good idea because our family was broken.
Right.
So I'm like, let me do this. So then I felt like once I did this, everything was just going to shift in place. Once I got married, everything was going to get better.
Right. A lot of people think that, like, if it's hell now, maybe if we get married, it's going to get better.
Right, because before we had got married, he had cheated on me, and I was like, okay, why you didn't take that as a sign? And then while I was still in Job Corps, I was flirting with some other dude. It was a long distance relationship. He got kicked out. He moved back to his home state, and then he came back, moved with me and my mom, was enlisting in the military, cheated on me while he was in AIT. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, okay, well, if I stay, this is going to make him appreciate me more.
Right.
I'm like, the more I deal with, the more when he finally get to his right mind, he going to appreciate me. He going to be like, dang, she really stood by my side. Holding on to those old myths of what grandma say and what older people say in the church, where you just pray and stay and just talk to the Lord about it, it's all going to work out. Because a lot of older women, they stayed through so much chaos, through men cheating multiple times. My granddad was one of them. From the stories we received from my auntie and my dad, like, my grandma stayed through a whole bunch of it. Now, I don't know my grandma's side of the story, but I know my grandpa, he was a little player from the Himalaya.
Like,
got the gold in his mouth and everything.
Look,
had some nice pretty eyes.
Hey, remember the bag?
What bag?
Oh gosh, what do they call that? It was a little bag. It was a toiletry bag. I had never in my life seen a man carry around a toiletry bag. That should have been the sign right there. That was a sign.
They had 12 kids.
That man carried around a toiletry bag.
Look, ready to jump to the next house. I don't know if that's how it went.
I don't know how true that is. What you're
We're
saying.
gonna get my auntie on here one day to tell us the story. Because I think she's the third oldest.
So the next question is, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You think she's ready? Are you sure you're ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Name a few obstacles you had in your marriage, and how did you overcome them?
My God. You ready for me? Okay. Let's speak about me first. Because a lot of us, what we do when we get into marriages, situationships, we try to point the finger at the other person all the time as if we didn't have no problem. Like, now, sometimes you'll run into situations like that where it could be just that person. It's just the fact that you continue to stay. But with me, I was controlling. I was trying to be his mom instead of his wife.
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
Girl, I ain't gonna keep doing this.
I'm just saying, because you know somebody might miss it. I don't know.
They can rewind, shoot.
Hey, you can repeat.
That's gonna put up views. But I was controlling. I was trying to be his mom instead of his wife. And I don't want to say I was trying to be a Christian too early. I wanted to serve God, but I was being the wrong type of Christian. Like, my motive was to try to make him, I was trying to build a man. I was trying to make him be something he wasn't ready to be. And something I wasn't ready to have. Like, I felt like I was ready to have it because I was more mature than he was, and because of the things that I've dealt with in life. But I kept trying to change him. Like, he was doing what he was supposed to do initially from the age that we were at, just now getting married in our early 20s, 21, 22. He was living his life. Like, yeah, you can surrender to God at that time, but some people just not ready. Some people don't have that upbringing. Some people don't have that mentorship to keep them on that straight and narrow.
Right.
And we didn't have it. Because I started shifting away from the church and the ministries because of what I was going through in my marriage. I started shifting away from my family because of what I was going through in my marriage. I was demanding my mouth. Ooh, Jesus. My mouth was a lethal weapon. I was talking about his friends. I was putting him down, calling him by his name. Every name in the book but a child of God. And even if I did call him a child of God, he was a bad child of God. Like,
Say it.
Man, I can't even go into depth of the names that I've been called this man. But it was my heart was hurting, and I wanted him to feel the same pain that he was giving me. But it was my mouth, me trying to be controlling, me trying to be one of them Christians that just try to push somebody into something and force somebody into something when they like, look, I know what I said I wanted when I first got with you. Yeah, we're spiritual and we love God and we had the same motives in the beginning. But now you finna see who I really am. And I had to see who I really was in the process of that. Like, you sure you ready for this? Because maybe you should be living life with him and things probably would have worked out a bit differently. But I was controlling. And when you're a controlling Christian, all it does is push people away from you. And like, no, I don't want to, let me do it myself. Like, why you keep bothering me about it? Why you keep bashing me? Why you keep nagging me about it? You nagging me about it, that's going to make me not want to do it. And if I do it, I'm not going to be happy about doing it.
Right.
So let me do it on my own time. And that was one of the biggest issues that I had as a younger Christian being married. I was a basher. I'm like, what you hanging out with all these niggas for? Like, what you hanging out with all these dudes for? You got a wife at home. You gay? You this, you that? Like, you rather hang out with them? He would rather hang out with them because I was nagging too much. That's why he chose to hang out with them. It's like I expected him, dude, you got a wife, you got a baby girl. Around the time where we was about to have our son, like, you got a son on the way. What you gonna do? I kept on trying to give our daughter as an example. Like, would you allow another man to treat your daughter like this? That ain't gonna work. Because, of course, some of them won't allow somebody else to treat their daughter like that, but it's not going to change their mindset because they're not ready to be delivered. They're not ready to walk into what God called them into yet. They still got to go through trial and error. They still got to learn. And I was trying to shift and push him into something he wasn't ready for yet.
Right. And when you're already in it, you ain't going to see it no way.
Right. It's just like you're a smoker. You ain't going to smell the cigarettes on you, but somebody else will. Mm-hmm. Another thing I went through in my marriage, Jesus, had financial issues, drug issues, mental, physical abuse. Now my abuse, I decided to not try to underwrite it, because I was like, well, it ain't as bad as everybody else's. I ain't got black eyes, I ain't got this, but I had like, I deleted my pictures, my evidence about 3 years ago. Because I'm like, what you still got this for? Because I was like, one day I might need to use this for court, so I'm gonna keep this. But God was like, get rid of it, it's over. And we got into verbal fights, sometimes physical fights. I took pictures of my bruises. He had like some bite marks and scratches. And he was controlling as well. Like he had his ways where he would try to manipulate me with his anger, or ain't nobody gonna want you, or you too big, or
that's that self-esteem, trying to lower your self-esteem.
It's just a lot that tied into that. And we didn't help each other. When we was going to church, we was arguing before we went to church. We was arguing when we left the church. Arguing on our way to, when he was in the military, to Texas, from Texas. We had some good moments, and it's like what makes people hold on in bad relationships is you hold on to those little bit of good moments and have a little piece of hope. And they be like, just hang on to that little piece of hope. No, you hang on to that little piece of hope with Jesus. Not in a relationship that you see everywhere in every area that is toxic and it's not working. Mm-hmm. It's been situations where I'm sitting here praying while he yelling at me in my face. Like, that ain't gonna work. What you praying for? And that's when you like, okay, this ain't safe no more. Like when you dealing with those type of spirits, you should see that, okay, God showing you, you need to go. You need to leave. But that little piece of hope in me, I was holding on to, hoping and praying like, God, I know, God, change him, please. And God, like, I can't do what he don't want me to do. I can't force myself on him. If he don't want me, I can't make him want me. I won't make him want me. He has to willingly and freely come to me. And that, going through that marriage, it made me want to steer away from God. I'm like, God, like, why you ain't helping me? Why you watching me go through this? Why you ain't beating this nigga up? Like, why you ain't tearing his head off? Why you letting me go through this? I'm over here praying, fasting, going to church, sowing seeds, giving offering, giving tithe. Why you ain't locked him up yet? And there's done been situations where I done called the police. There's done been situations where he done been in jail. But God is like, I'm not doing this because you keep taking him back. Once I pull him away from you, what you do? When it seemed like it's okay, you reel him back in. You bring him back in when clearly I gave you a way out multiple times. But you thought, since you felt at peace, since you felt comfortable with him again, that I was giving you the okay, but I wasn't.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, and it's so many other things, but I don't want to get too deep into it. Only unless somebody asks me personally and they need that testimony to actually help them get through something. But it was a lot that stemmed into that marriage that wasn't healthy.
Right.
It pulled me away from my family.
Right.
Like, if you in a relationship and you with somebody, and once you talk to your family, they get in their feelings or they get upset, or y'all have an argument because you're talking to your family members, you in a toxic relationship and you need to recheck what you got going on.
Right. I was gonna ask, so because I know the people don't know, what roles did we play in your relationship, as well as, if you feel at liberty to talk about it, the other side of the family, that, like,
right,
what influence, or did you even think that there was any help on either side as far as being able to coach you through your relationship, on either side of the family, like our side or on his side? Did either of y'all have that confidant that y'all can be like, okay, supposedly, you know, people supposed to know what to do because they're older, but that's neither here nor there. So what examples, or what can you tell people that, hey, I was able to get this from my dad, or I was able to get this from my mom, or I was able to get this from the other side? Like, were you able to even get, either one of y'all able to get anything from either side?
From my side of the family, I didn't get too much. Like, I got bad advice. Like, the initial advice, definitely from my own personal hurts, was leave. It wasn't I was expecting people to pray for us or pray for him because of what spirits he was dealing with, but everybody couldn't see spiritually. And I wasn't even seeing that spiritually, but I knew it was a spiritual battle.
Girl, she telling the truth, because I was just like, leave him, shoot. Like, had a whole attitude. Like, he'll come, and I'm like, why he here? Like, I'm that sister. But like, why you here? Why you still going through this? Like, I wasn't able to see spiritually at that point, and I'm like, bruh, it doesn't make sense. Like when you're not in the relationship and you just looking on the outside and you don't have that spiritual eye, it's different. You see things totally different. You see stuff from a person that be like, oh, I'd never do that. I'd never go through that, because you don't see spiritually. That's why. So I'm just like, okay. That's what we're gonna keep doing,
right? Because I was that person to where I was like, I would never, but I dealt with things multiple times because I wanted to be loved. I wanted somebody next to me. I wanted to feel wanted, right. And even though he didn't give me that, it's just being broken. You hold on to any type of company, whether it's good or bad. It's like I just want somebody around me because I don't want to be alone. Because if I get alone, then a whole bunch of other stuff just gonna start happening and going through my brain. So I just need another body next to me. And I ain't talking about no child. I'm talking about like an adult being of the opposite sex. That even if we arguing, okay, misery loves company. So you pissed off, I'm happy.
Because you right next to me.
Right. Like you made me mad. I know how to get up under your skin. All I gotta do is call you that one name. All I gotta do is try you and be like, oh well, my ex wouldn't do this.
Oh.
Or my ex wouldn't do that. Or say something slick like that. I know how to get up under his skin. In certain situations, God would show me it happening right before it happened. And God would shut my mouth up like, if you don't shut up, it's going to get worse than this. My body would get hot in certain arguments. And I'm like, all right, God. Because I got a slick mouth. And so...
And do.
So, in those situations, I would just keep going. Like, I know you're going to get mad. You mad? All right. And then it's this one little smirk that I used to have that used to piss him off. And so I wouldn't even be having nothing in my mind, but I do that smirk just because I knew it made him mad. Or like I'll be thinking about somebody in my head, and he would know from that smile, like, yeah.
So what type of spirit was you dealing with?
I was bitter. I don't know. Somebody
he was dealing with a spirit, and you was dealing with
somebody
a spirit.
let me know the name of it because I ain't care. Like because I told him everything. Like even if I thought about somebody at work or something like that, so we get to argument. And then I look at him, and then just smile.
Oh.
And then I would be thinking about that person in my head, like he arguing, he going off on me, but hey, I'm over here thinking about talking to this dude at work, walking past him at work. Now I probably hadn't even had no conversations with these people, but I'm just entertaining them in my brain, and I know this smile gonna make him mad. So yep, I'm entertaining him in my head. Go ahead, keep yelling at me.
The spirit Lepetti, man.
But I had a problem, and it brought me great joy to see him mad because he used to make me so mad. Like he got to the point to where he was flirting with this one girl that didn't speak English.
Oh man!
And he went on the Google Translate app just to flirt with this girl. So I went through his phone and I was like, what's this stuff in Google Translate? Like, why are you asking these questions? Oh, I'm just asking this girl. I'm like, bro, it's not that deep. The girl don't even speak English. So you gotta go through Google Translate just to flirt with somebody?
That's a lot of work.
It is.
Look, not worth it working that.
But God had to deal with me because I used to do that with my brother when we grew up. I used to fight with him and be petty. Like I would sing a song that'll make him mad and tempt him. Like
you act like you ain't the only female that did that. Then they got mad at a man and be turned. Look, how many of them that turned on that camera?
Like a lot of people.
Anyways, that girl, if you don't shut up.
Ooh, it was this one song that I used to play by Leandra Johnson. Okay, it was this song by Leandra Johnson called "New Reasons." Y'all gotta look this song up. But I play the song and it used to make him mad. I'd be like, "Farewell, my friend. I'm leaving you. Found me another lover that treats me better than you. Now you got no one to cheat on, as if I left you. He's here forever, while you just passing through."
Oops.
And that song, she was singing about Jesus. And I knew she was singing about Jesus. And I was too, but the lyrics just make you think it's talking about another man. And I used to play that song when I got mad at him, and he'd get even more mad. And then I used to play that song and the thing is, I go to all gospel songs. Oh,
you really want to make somebody mad?
No, because you would think they wouldn't think like that. But I played a song by Travis Green, Take everything. I don't want it. I don't need it. God, I just want you. And I'm like, God, take him out. Take him. I don't want him. I don't want the problems.
I'll take this man out.
Lord, take him out. It got so bad that I was even praying like, God, like, this is my enemy. I know it's scriptures that you said you would do to my enemies. And I'm asking that you just like, in my mind, I'm thinking about death. Like, God, take this man out. He crazy. I don't want to deal with him. Like, do you have to kill him? Like, do you have to take his life? It got that bad to where I had those thoughts in my mind, not realizing he is not my enemy, but the spirits he's dealing with is. So in my mind, I'm like, dang, man. God, he's still here.
I'm gonna have to check the watch. He's still here.
Cause when I got into relationships, I felt like my only way out was the other person dying. Like,
dang.
I'm like, something wrong with me. To where if I gotta think my only way out is that other person dying, then it's a deeper problem within myself, because I'm already attracting that type of person if I gotta think that way about them. That's already letting me know, okay, you got attachment issues, you got clingy issues, you got jealousy issues. If I'm already thinking my only way out of this is death, either you die or I die, then I shouldn't be entertaining those thoughts. Okay, from our side of the family, I didn't receive the insight that I was looking for. I didn't receive the spiritual guidance. I was looking for spiritual guidance. I didn't want to hear everybody telling me leave. I wanted spiritual guidance.
Because we was holy church goers.
And I didn't receive it. But I kept, so that's what made me keep everything to myself. Like, I know everybody don't like him. So people gonna judge them because I told them the bad things about him. I was sharing too much. But when you in a toxic situation and you don't know what to share or what to keep in, because my life was in danger multiple times, and I didn't want to share that with him because I felt like something bad was gonna happen, or I didn't want the judgment to be cast on him because one day he could possibly get better. One day he will overcome all of this. So I didn't want y'all judging him based off of who he was. I wanted to leave room for him to change.
Because you knew we was going to pull up on him.
And I wanted people to accept his change. And then on his side of the family, like, I used to go to his mom for everything because the advice that I needed, I wasn't able to receive it from my mom because of her hurt with my dad. And so his mom would tell me, she would give me that spiritual advice. But at the same time, if you know, like everybody else know, when you have a family member, you're going to more so, of course, you're going to protect your family. So I'll give you good advice, but at the same time, I still got to talk to them and let them know certain things. And so I felt like they didn't hold him accountable the way he should have been held accountable. I felt like what was going on, like it was crippling him. Because I had conversations with his mom quite a few times, and it was just a lot of things, me oversharing and me over expecting from them when they weren't counselors. Like, they weren't the people that God wanted us to receive godly counseling from. It's just me not knowing and wanting that motherly bond. I told her and shared with her everything, and she gave me some good advice, and a lot of it I appreciated because it was spiritual. But at the end of the day, a lot of things with where he was at in that time of his life, it crippled him because of his drug habit and because of how he was handling his family. I felt like it wasn't supposed to be condoned. Like, don't entertain.
You made drugs sound so bad. Like, it was just, like, brother was out here just on the pipe or something.
Weed. I say weed. But some people get overly addicted to it because I went through a lot because of weed. But with the financial situation, I was footing everything, and I felt the burden of that because I wasn't able to give my mom. We always stayed with somebody. We never had our own spot besides the one time he was stationed in Texas. But with him not receiving money from me or spending all of his money, he would go to his family members and ask them for money. And most of the time, they already knew what he wanted. They knew his habit. I wouldn't say every time, but most of the time they knew what he wanted. And that hindered him, and it was messing with my marriage. And I'm like, y'all supposed to hold him accountable. I expected them to hold him accountable, and that's what hurt me. My expectation of them was higher. And I'm like, if y'all hold him accountable, then maybe he'll get right. But I'm like, okay, God, am I supposed to give them that responsibility?
Because
as
that's when you
family
go with
members.
unspoken expectations. You
Right.
expect, because even in a marriage, you have unspoken expectations. Like, I expect you to take out the trash. I expect you to wash the dishes. Like, it's something that, because you say common sense is not common,
Right.
but you have to realize that people don't, sometimes if you don't tell people, then they're not going to know. That's just like you telling your child, that bathroom ain't clean, I'm finna go clean it. But you never told them how to clean the bathroom.
Right. Because I felt like a lot of things he was saying, that was when I was worried about the judgment of his family and the judgment of other people. I'm like, okay, he probably making me look crazy, and he over here doing all this crazy stuff, saying all this crazy stuff, stealing money, pawning stuff. And I'm like, okay, now I shared this with y'all, but y'all still giving him money. And at that point, it was like, dang, like, why do I keep confiding in y'all? Because I didn't have no other outlet. And I wanted something to correct. I wanted somebody to correct him. Because I know people had been hurt like I had been hurt. I know people had been through a marriage that didn't work. It's like, give him the advice that he needs, that his spirit yearns for. Because feeding into the habit is not helping his soul. It's not helping his spirit. And a lot of people don't even look that deep. Okay, I'm not worried about his soul. He got a craving or he asked me for money. That's my brother. That's my son. I'm going to help him. But if we don't take a step back and look at the bigger picture, like with my brothers, you can ask them, they're going to call me for spiritual advice. I'm not going to lie for you. If you got a drug habit, I'm not finna give you the money for it. I need to know what you need this money for. Until we get to a different point of life, what you need this money for. I'm not finna just be throwing out cash just to throw it out. If I know you got a problem and I know you ain't taking care of your kids, I'm not finna just be handing you out money. I'm not finna sign your death certificate for you because you want to do something foolish and you want to send yourself to an early grave. I don't want to be responsible for that. And that's what I was feeling like. My mind was so different from the average 20-year-old because I was trying to see deeper in the spiritual realm, and I was trying to hold people into a spiritual maturity level that they weren't in yet. Even if they were younger than me or older than me, sometimes my spiritual maturity was higher than theirs. And it's not even holding it to his family, it's other people that he was around too, because he was around older people. And I'm like, these people not helping you. These men ain't helping you. Like, you need to get around. You say you want to be this God-fearing person. You say you want to serve God. So get yourself around like-minded people. Not people that's going to take up for you when you lie. Not people that's going to cover you when you doing something stupid. Because he done put our kids in some crazy situations.
But that's what people want, though. Just imagine that. If I'm mad.
I wouldn't say our kid. It was just one situation with my daughter. But
Right. So if I'm mad, and I'm telling you about how somebody done pissed me off, I'm expecting you to have the same reaction that I'm having. Like, nah, what? Such and such ain't did that. Nah, they wouldn't. But if you had the opposite reaction, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm gonna go the other way. I'm good.
Right.
Cause that's what I need at that moment.
Right.
I need you
and
to.
he would get that from his family sometimes too, because he'll be like, you always taking her side. Sometimes he had those moments of them seeming like them taking my side. So it was some correction in there. It was a lot of correction in there, but like I said, when we dealing with family members, we want to protect them, but we want to correct them at the same time.
Right.
So sometimes we'll share with them what doesn't need to be shared with them, just for them to be on guard. Like, okay, this took place, that happened, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, based off of this conversation. So I say I received more help on their side of the family versus my family, which I understood because they're more protective of me, which what his family was doing with him. It's like, I'm gonna protect him, but at the same time, I see the hell you taking her through, but at the same time, I'm still being a hindrance to you. But it gave me a better balance on that side. That's why I kept leaning towards it, because she was giving me spiritual advice. Right. Versus over here, it's like, okay,
they don't like them. They don't care anything
right.
about them.
It's time to go. Like, they ain't gonna listen, because I wanted to hold on to this marriage. I wanted it to get better.
You wanted us to pray for him, and I'm like,
pray these.
We ain't there yet. Nope. If he fall off the curve and break a knee, okay.
Right.
When you love somebody, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Or when you're blinded, because sometimes it's not even love. When you blinded and you yearn for something that you wanted from home, the devil gonna send
what's the word?
He gonna send a distraction, and he gonna
The
send a
devil gonna
familiar
send a
spirit.
prototype.
He gonna send a familiar spirit.
He gonna send a prototype. He gonna send something that seems like it's the truth, but it's really not.
And we're too blind to see. Because we really want to be loved. At the end of the day, I don't care how lonely you say you are, and you just not a people person, you want to be loved. Everybody want to be loved. That's why so many people are willing to go through hell just for a little piece of what they feel like is love.
But yeah, that's how it is on both sides, and it's dangerous because when you're in an abusive relationship, when you're in a toxic relationship, that's how a lot of people end up committing suicide or end up getting killed because they don't want to share what they're dealing with family because they know family's going to intervene. They know family's going to judge. They know, okay, well, I don't want the police to be called, and I don't want, and it's like we be so lost and not wanting people to intervene because we're trying to hold on to something that's meant to be let go. So while you're holding on to something that's meant to be let go, it's strangling you. While it's being strangled, it's strangling you, sucking the life out of you because you don't want to grab a hand to help. But I was petty, very petty. And God dealt with me one night and was like, watch what you let come out your mouth. And he used him, my ex-husband, to tell me that because he was knocked out one day and we would sleep. And I thought about it in my mind before he said it. And he woke up, tapped me, and said, God said you better watch what you say out your mouth. And he went back to sleep. And then I woke up the next day, I was like, you remember what you said to me last night? And he was like, no. But that was God forewarning me, be careful with your words. Because even though you feel like he your enemy, your words got power.
Right.
He don't even know that God had used him to say that to me. But the thing is, it was in my mind that he was going to say that to me before we went to sleep.
And you thought it.
I did, and it came out of his mouth.
Exactly. You thought it. Throughout the foolishness, some greatness came along. You guys were able to birth my beautiful niece and my handsome nephew.
Yeah.
How did it affect them seeing, I mean, they're young.
Yeah. It affected my daughter the most because she was traumatized. Like, she hated seeing people argue. She would cry if somebody yelled at her or the slightest pitch, high pitch in their tone.
She still do.
Yeah.
She's sensitive.
Very. And because she was there doing most of it, it created a trauma in her to where I don't like confrontation. It makes me uncomfortable. Mommy, Daddy, stop yelling. Mommy, I don't like that. I don't like when y'all, like, she was very opinionated about what was going on.
Right.
Like with her hearing me scream, yelling out the window, doing all type of crazy stuff. She was on guard about everything. Like,
right.
she'd be watching me like a hog.
A baby pit bull, I told you.
Yeah. And my son, he wasn't able to explain his emotions. He felt a lot, but it showed in school. It showed in his emotions. It showed him crying for no reason sometimes. Him crying at school like, I miss my dad, I miss my mom. And had just dropped him off to school. And it's like, I miss my mom, and he started crying. He didn't know how to express what he was feeling. He didn't know how to express the feeling of mom and dad not being together no more, or watching mom and dad fight, and not knowing how to put his words together to say, I don't like this, or this makes me uncomfortable, or I feel this way because I saw mommy and daddy do this. Right. My daughter, she was able to express it more. She was able to say, okay, I don't like it when y'all do this. Or you could tell with her reaction towards other people what she had witnessed. Even in certain conversations, she would probably talk to mom about something or talk to her nana about something. And just ask questions. And it spiraled down to a few years later after that, them just still dealing with it, but me having to learn how to walk them through it because my emotions.
Because you still learning.
Yeah, because my emotions were jacked up, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I? My son don't know how to tell me what he feeling, so how can I help him? And that was very frustrating for me because you got everybody and their opinions about your children being so emotional and it aggravate them. And it's like, I'm aggravated too because I don't know what language this dude's speaking. And my kids are emotional because what I went through, but people couldn't see that, okay, they're kids, they're just crying too much. No, they're traumatized, but they can't articulate it, they can't communicate it to everybody because they've been through something that they shouldn't have been exposed to.
Mm-hmm. That's real deep. 'Cause people don't realize that even from birth, if you going through something in a relationship, your child feel that. Like if your child is in your womb and you going through something, your child feel that. They sometimes there are the fruit of what you went through.
Because they pick up those emotions.
Right. They are the fruit of what you went through, so it's real important to be careful.
Because she can be stubborn. Like
She get it from you.
And then watching other kids. Like other kids that have both parents. Like y'all, for example, it's like they're competitive sometimes, but not really. It's like, okay, I want this too because they have it.
Right.
And it's like I don't want to say I can't give that to you, but they have both of their parents in their life. They have both parents at home. Right now you have just mommy at home. Yes, you'll go see daddy sometimes, but what they have, I'm not able to give it to you right now because I don't have that extra help.
Mm-hmm. But when it come though, glory, come on, brother-in-law, who love children,
And
don't
God.
mind babysitting, and God, hallelujah.
Or
Hey.
your mama don't mind babysitting.
And my sister, hey,
Pick up her grandchildren.
come on,
Hey,
come on.
oh,
And he cooks. Hey, come on.
Hey.
And he clean.
Whew, Jesus.
Oh,
Hey.
We ain't playing.
Hey.
Come on.
Hey. Whoo. Oh, Jesus.
Okay. So so I hear a lot of him and I hear a lot of the kids, but you forgot about you.
Well, what?
Where do you come into play in this? Like, how did you forget about yourself?
Yes, I did. And that was one of our biggest problems before I even got married. I was always trying to please people. I was always trying to be the one that helps, the sibling that helps, the sibling that fixes things, the young adult leader that helps out with everything and is always there. And hey, Shanice is the go-to person. If you need help, call her. She'll help. The other leaders might not be able to be reached, but she has a lot of free time, and you know she'll be the one to come through. Everybody just had a yes from me without even asking me because that's who I was.
Right.
And so when I got married, I did the same thing. I forgot about me. Like I thought when I got married, with everything that we had went through when we had first got together, with at the beginning of our relationship before we got married, I thought I was gonna be straight. Like, okay, once he gets into the military, yeah, he cheated on me, he did this, but he gonna realize like I'm a real one and he gonna take care of me. And there was some situations to where when he did have, he gave. Like he would sometimes spend his whole check on us going somewhere for the weekend, or spending his whole check on the food and in the room or wherever we was doing. But he didn't do that all the time. And most of his money went towards himself, so that left the responsibility on me. So while I was working, I had to cover the bills. I had to beg for money sometimes if I didn't have it, but more than likely I had it. It's just I never really took the initiative to ask because it's like I got it and I already know what your problem is. And sometimes I would throw him money to get him out my face because things got that bad.
Right.
But I wasn't buying stuff for me. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was trying to work out every now and then, but I was gaining weight, losing it. I lost myself, and I was just worried about taking care of him and the kids. But when I found myself again, baby, I started changing the way I dress. I changed the way I look. Because every time I was going through something, I would cut my hair off.
Tell me about
They
it.
hate this. But I always cut my hair off because I just was frustrated with life. So I was able to control my hair and I cut it. And it felt good, but it didn't change nothing. It felt good.
As I'm telling you, I was like, oh, she going through it again. She done cut her hair.
Right.
Because I see a lot of people do that. Like, I had friends that did the same thing. You know somebody going through something because you shaving their hair off. this is the case for everybody, but a lot of people are like, dang, if I can't control my life, at least I can control my house. So let me cut that off and see how that feels. The issue's still there.
Yeah, but my weight was up and down. I worked, and then sometimes I come home from work, try to sleep because I was working overnight, and he would be roaming the streets. He'll take the car, run out the gas, spend the money on weed, bud, whatever y'all want to call it. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go to work again. The kids are here, acting out. I'm trying to sleep. I need some rest. Sometimes he'll do it, sometimes he won't. Like he had that mentality of a teenager. He wasn't ready to grow up yet. But me thinking, okay, we're ready for marriage. We're trying to get away from our own families because he didn't want to abide by the rules of his mama. And I didn't listen to my mama rules. So
After a certain period of time.
right, like I did what I wanted to do in a sense, like, and he had to ask for permission. So I guess he didn't want to ask for permission no more. And I was like, I make my own choices, so I ain't looking for nobody's approval. And I still forgot about me in the process because I thought he was going to remember me. If I forgot about me, I thought he was going to remember me because it's the whole purpose of getting married. It's like, you got me and I got you, so if I forget about me, you going to remember me. And if you forget about yourself, I'm going to remember you. Like, we got each other covered.
So did y'all have each other covered in prayer?
We tried. It didn't work out too well because at the beginning, before we actually got married, before he went to the military, it was more prayer. Like, of course, we fornicated and then we'll pray after the fact. And it was like, Lord, all right, I don't want to do this no more. And then we end up doing it again and then pray again. Like, all right, God, take this desire out of me. I want to do it the right way. And then we got married. And even in the marriage, I just ignored all the red flags because I felt like I had the power to change it by my gift of gab or the love that was inside of me that I was ready to give somebody. But if you give it to the wrong person, it ain't gonna work.
Right. So if you could do it all over again, would you?
Hell no.
Or would you change anything? She said what she said.
Whoo, boy. Whoo.
So
That's for the books, boy. I'm trying to tell you. But
So
if I could do it over again, I don't know. That's a tough question. I think I would wait. So I wouldn't do it the same way, but I would wait because realizing when I got married, I was not ready, but I felt like I was.
Right.
Because I'm more mature than the average person. And a lot of the girls that I was hanging out with, they weren't thinking about marriage. They weren't thinking about the same stuff that I was thinking about. They weren't thinking about serving God. I was thinking about serving God, but I didn't realize that I had such a corrupt meaning of serving God inside of me that I was already contaminated and pulled that contamination inside of my marriage. I wouldn't do it the same way, and I would wait because of what I know now. And of course, everything is trial and error, and I had to heal. A lot of people don't take their time to heal once they go through a bad relationship.
Right.
All they do is look for the next set of comfort. They look for the next thing that's going to comfort them. And I tried hard not to do that. I didn't say I failed. Of course, I looked in the wrong places, but I didn't jump into another relationship.
So like, as that family member, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. How would you have suggested back then that we handled that, like knowing that you was physically abused, because you never told us that until after the fact, until you were out of it? Because when you are that family member that just gets the information, because we're gonna react off impulse, like nah, this ain't
Definitely when you're not used to it.
this ain't what we do. We're not used to it, for one. Two, this is not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. How do you suggest, or what would have been your mindset? Like, how do you expect us to react if somebody's harming you that's supposed to love you? They're dealing with the spirit again. If you're not dealing with the spiritual eye, you don't see that. You saying that I see blood because I'm finna come for you because you're coming for him. You're coming for her. There would have been no
Reasoning.
Yeah, there's no.
It's different for everybody. So everybody that's been in an abusive relationship or abusive situation, everything is meant to be handled differently because everybody's situation is the same. So my expectation at the time was, looking back now, I was like, okay, maybe if somebody did go off on him, then he probably would have corrected himself. But the fact that I kept it away allowed him to keep doing it because he knew I was gonna hide it. He knew I was gonna protect him.
Cause I'm sitting here like, I'm not finna sit here. You done did what you done did, and I'm finna sit here and kneel and pray with you. That's not. No. That one.
Because a lot of people that's in situations like that, they don't want that person to be harmed.
They don't.
Just want them to
Which is
change.
why they end up going to
Because
court and
they
they drop charges.
That's what I did. I ended up dropping charges. I think he was in jail for like a week, but I dropped the charges. But most people is like, I don't want them to go to jail. I don't want them to be mad at me. Instead of just throwing them in jail and then getting away from them, because that spirit is attached to you, and you want to let go, but you don't know how to. Because fear. You're afraid. So even if they are in jail, you're afraid of what they'll do when they get out. Or like, even
or
if
you're afraid of not being without them because you're so used to dealing with that narcissistic spirit.
Right. You're so used to dealing with toxic things. You're so used to dealing with things that aren't put together.
Right.
You're used to brokenness, so you're gonna grab it.
Because you don't feel like you deserve to be put together. You feel like you deserve nothing but to be broken, because that's all you used to. That's all you're gonna gravitate to is being broken. And when it's called put together, then you run the other way because you don't know what put together feel like.
It feels wrong when you're used to brokenness. It makes you feel weird and makes you feel off when you see something that seems like it could be right.
That's why when you see those relationships, it's like self-sabotage.
It means it makes you feel like, okay, you don't love me if we're not arguing. You don't love me if you ain't putting your hands on me.
Right.
You don't love me if you ain't stealing from me. Like, I'm used to chaos. So if I'm not having chaos in my life, then that means you don't love me. So with everybody's
version of love,
with everybody's situation, you gotta proceed with caution and actually pray about it. Ask God, like, okay, do you want me to intervene with this? Do you want me to say something? How should I approach this, or how should I handle this?
Right.
Because some people need to be corrected. Some people need to be some people need their head knocked off. It's like, look, if they're not warned by the family, if they know the family gonna always overlook it, they gonna keep doing it. But if you got that one family member, like, okay, well, I know I can't do this with her because her family don't play. Like, I wouldn't dare because I know her brother killed me. So they had that, okay, well, I'm gonna make sure I don't. And it sends some type of correction. And it probably will correct that spirit or get rid of that spirit that's inside of them.
Right.
But sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it, but she or he, more than likely it's gonna be a she gonna keep her mouth closed and she ain't gonna tell that brother that
It's more common to be a she.
Yeah.
But there's times where it can be the male being abused. Not much light is shed on because it's not common. But that doesn't mean it don't happen.
Right.
But what would you tell your younger self? Like, if you were to stare into the camera and talk to yourself now, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to not get married so soon, and to continue to find myself, to continue to find yourself, because you was looking for your daddy in a little boy and trying to make him a man that he wasn't ready to be. So continue to learn, love, and grow. Keep seeking God. Don't stop doing that. And yeah, you're gonna get into some relationships that might not work out, but learn how to let go. Don't hold on, because there's too many people in the world that try to hold on to one that don't want you. So that's what I would tell my younger self.
So we're gonna give y'all some takeaways, and I hope this was as liberating for you as it was for us. Do you feel lighter?
I think so.
So the first takeaway will be keep God first. Always make room for God.
Always keep room for God, because if we make room for God, that means we
Sure.
move stuff out of the way.
Right.
Of course, but it's like, as long as you keep Him at the center of it, as long as you like, all right, God, I need your input on this. All right, Dad, I need your input on this, because If you're not in this, it's not gonna work.
Not at all. I need you to be the beginning, middle, and the end. He comes before your husband, and he comes before you. Always remember that. The second one, my takeaway would be, don't forget about yourself in your marriage. It's so often that a woman or a man forgets about their self in the marriage, because it always tends to be us. So we always thinking about us. But before there was us, there was you and there was me. I'm not saying be selfish, but never forget about yourself in the process.
Because if you don't love you, you can't love them. We forget that we came into this world by ourselves, and we're gonna leave this world by ourselves. Only unless they make a double person casket, which hasn't happened yet, but still spiritually gonna leave by yourself.
Right.
So the moment you forget about you, why would you expect somebody else to remember you if you don't?
That part. Third takeaway will be pay attention to the signs. We receive signs all day long. God tell you if this is the right person or if this is not the right person, or he tells you when it's time and when it's not time, and we just always want to look over the fact that he don't know what he talking about. That's like, you don't know what you talking about, but I'm gonna do this anyway, and he gonna let us continue to bump our heads because he don't know what he talking about.
You gotta learn at some point. God like, all right, I done put you on the bike, ain't no training wheels on there. You gonna take off, you gonna fall a few times, but I'm gonna trust you to get back up.
That part. When you go to the bottom of that hill and you ain't got no wheel on, he don't know what he talking about. But he's warned you several times.
Multiple times. Because I done received so many warnings in so many different ways. And it's like, all right, I'm not sure if that's you or me, God, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this thing. Even though my body feels hot, I'm gonna go ahead and try this anyways, because I feel like this is just something I need to learn.
Right.
So I'm gonna test the theory, and I'm gonna trust that you'll protect me during this process, because I feel like I just gotta do this. So the heck with it.
No helmet. Just going for it.
Yeah. Swanda. Yeah, we have those moments where it's like, I don't want to learn from somebody else's experience. I gotta learn from my own.
Right.
And sometimes you gotta go through situations like that where you have to experience it to know the grace of God and the mercy of God. People ain't gonna like this, but hey, sometimes you have to sin in order to know that grace is there. Because he said, where sin is, grace abounds. He also said, forgive a man 70 times 7. So if he said, forgive a man 70 times 7, ain't he telling you that people gonna mess up that much? And probably even more, right? So if where sin is, grace abounds, you're covered. Not saying go sin on purpose, but God, I know you gonna mess up. What you think I got grace for? I know you're going to go against the grain. I know you're going to go against me. I know you know that scripture. I know you know the word. I know you know what I told you. But I already know the decision you're going to make before you make it. So I already got grace waiting for you right there when you come out of it.
Look at her. She on the corner. Just waiting.
Just waiting for you. Grace right there.
Hey, girl.
She like, hey, I already knew you was going to make this choice. So I had to wait right here because I knew that you were going to need me. Come on.
Baby.
Come on, I got you. I knew you was gonna need me. That's what God sent me.
Give me the Band-Aid, baby. You bleeding. Okay. Stay lit.
Stay loud.
Stay focused.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below what y'all think. Give us some more ideas.
If y'all have any topics that y'all think we should discuss, put them down there.
Tap in so you won't tap out. We out.